Welcome. I'm Julie Thompson, Executive Director of pac-tv, and today we're hosting a COVID-19 update for the town of Kingston. We will hold these forums every Tuesday and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Watch in Kingston on Comcast Channel 15 or Verizon Channel 42, or watch online on our streaming channel by visiting pac-tv.org/live. To ask questions during the forum, please email them to kingstoninfo@pac-tv.org. For the forum replay schedule and additional Kingston meeting coverage, please visit pac-tv.org/Kingston. Today's participants include, as always, Josh Warren, who's the head of the Board of Selectmen in Kingston. We also have Priscilla Brackett, who's from the Department of Veterans Services. We have Mike Slauson, Library Tech, and Amy Burns, who is an adjustment counselor for Kingston Schools K through 12. Josh, why don't you take it away?
Julie, thank you. And as always, thank you guys at pac-tv for putting on these forums and continuing to support all the towns that you work with. I know it's a lot of heavy lifting from your team to make sure that we're still able to use your platform to communicate with residents at a time like this. Just briefly, last night, the Massachusetts Department of Public Health announced that there were 2,976 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19 in Plymouth County. That represents an increase of 144 from the previous day's count. And as of yesterday, Kingston remains at 30 confirmed positive cases of COVID-19. I think we're all in agreement on the emergency management team and the Board of Health office that these numbers are very likely to continue to rise. So you'll be hearing from us time and time again as these programs continue. Now really is the time to maintain social distancing, continue washing your hands, and certainly, covering your face with a face mask when you're out in public. Julie, if you don't mind, can we just pull up the new Department of Public Health dashboard that I sent over earlier today?
Yep, here it is.
I'd just like to talk about that briefly. So residents may have noticed last night that when the town released its daily update, we were not able to include the numbers in that update for Plymouth County. The Massachusetts Department of Public Health yesterday shifted to a much more content-heavy daily report. So what you're seeing right now is that new report from Department of Public Health. I believe these will be going out from them daily. They used to just produce a list that showed the much less data. What we were really culling from this was the counts for Plymouth County. And then last week they started releasing numbers based on cities and towns, and then they're going to do that on a weekly basis. But if you go to the Town of Kingston's website, www.kingstonmass.org, and you click on the link once you get to the COVID-19 page for mass.gov, you can follow prompts, and eventually you'll find this dashboard, and it gives you a whole host of information. Again, it used to be a very simple graph that was released every day, and as you'll see now, it's a 23-page PDF document, and it lists everything from daily and cumulative confirmed cases, testing by date, case and case growth by county, all the way up to how COVID-19 is impacting nursing homes, rest homes, skilled nursing facilities, et cetera. So DPH yesterday made the shift to a much more content-heavy daily report. So I apologize that the Town of Kingston's daily update to residents did not include the county numbers. I'm not quite sure what time of day they'll start to release this new dashboard. So we may have to make some adjustments on our end in terms of releasing our letter to residents later in the day if it looks like DPH is going to be releasing their data later in the day going forward. Before we turn it over to our guests, I just want to remind everybody that with confirmed cases of COVID-19 on the rise in Kingston, Plymouth County, and the Commonwealth, Kingston's Board of Health and Emergency Management team would like to remind you all again that now is a crucial time for infection control. We're now 1 month into a public health crisis that has an indeterminate end. COVID-19 is going to dictate the timeline as to when we'll all be able to return to work, when our kids can go back to schools, and when we'll regain any sense of normalcy. But our collective actions each day directly impact the toll that COVID-19 will take on our community. Now is the time again to continue maintaining social distancing guidelines, limiting exposure to others, avoiding crowded places, and continuing with the vigilant hand washing. Those are really the best way that we can combat COVID-19 right now. And again, this has an indeterminate end. COVID-19 is going to dictate when life can go back to normal, but our daily actions will certainly impact that timeline. So just a reminder to everybody to keep up what we've been doing for the last month, and hopefully we'll get through this a little bit sooner. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Slauson, who for avid library goers, especially those with kids, know him as Mr. Mike. Mike is the library tech for the Kingston Public Library. He's been with us for previous COVID-19 updates, but we wanted to have him back just so he could tell us a little bit more about what the Kingston Public Library is offering to residents during this crisis. The building's been closed to the public now for over a month, but Mike and the other staff at the Kingston Public Library are hard at work making sure that the resources that are available through the KPL online are still available. So Mike, with that, can you run us through all of the different ways that residents can continue to utilize the KPL's digital catalogs and services, even though the building's been closed to the public?
Yes, thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me on again. I'm going to share my screen here so people at home can see our webpage. And one thing we've tried to do is sort of streamline the front page so people can get access to lots of our services with just a couple clicks. So the first thing I would say is that if you don't already have a library card, you can open one online. Or if you have a problem with your current card, we can work with you to fix that. So the first thing I would say is on the front page, there's a link that says open a card and use it from home. If you click on that link, it'll take you to this page where you can fill out a form and set up or open up a new card. But what's also important on this page is you'll see some of our most popular services here. So right up at the top, there's a couple of the newer services that we have, Universal Class and Canopy. But then as you scroll down too, you'll see some of our other popular services for movies and books, for magazines, and then also some resources for kids here too. But if you want to see all our whole collection, if you click on this link at the bottom here, view all of our digital collections, you'll be able to go in and browse through everything that we have. And that's research and movies and audiobooks and ebooks. And one thing that the library is focusing on now is beefing up our collections, our ebook collections, and our e-audiobook collections to make sure that people have what they want and they can access them online.
Great, thanks, Mike. And my understanding too is that a few weeks ago, you guys opened up another program to KPL card holders, and that was the seed catalog.
Yeah, so this is the second year we've done our seed library, and the first year it was a great success, and this year we had sort of just gotten started with people taking out seeds, and when this COVID-19 situation happened, we didn't want our seeds to go to waste. And first of all, if people aren't familiar with the seed library, it's a movement that's happening all across the country, really. It's really picking up steam over the last couple of years. And basically what it is library gets a donation of seeds, and that donation can come from the public. It can also come from companies. In this case, we got a really big donation from Hart's Seed Company in Connecticut this year. And what happens is people come in and they check out the seeds. They take seeds from our seed library and they grow them. And then at the end of the year, the idea is that they'll harvest some of their seeds and bring back for people to use next year. And so far, it's been great. Unfortunately, we've had so many orders in the last week or so that we've pretty much depleted our stock of seeds. So we're not taking any more orders right now. But we are looking for more donations. So if you have some seeds that you'd like to donate for other members of the community to use, then please either mail them to us. We're at 6 Green Street in Kingston, or you can even come and drop them in the book drop at the library.
That's great, and certainly the success of the program speaks to all of those seeds having gone out the door in record time. Um, in addition to the online catalog, is the KPL offering any online programming?
Yeah, we're doing or we've already done a number of programs, but we're also we have some upcoming, and we're also planning for some. We talked a little bit about the C Library a minute ago. Last Friday we had, and some of our regular library visitors may be familiar with Lee and Friends, who does great puppet story times. She did a Zoom puppet story time last Friday that was really well attended. She'll be doing another one on on May 1st. So keep a lookout for that. We'll have that on our schedule on our website. Another really interesting program that we're running is something called Book Spine Poetry. And I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that or participated in that before, but if you check out on our website, over on the right-hand side here, there's a link where it says Get Creative and Book Spine Poetry. If you click on that, it will take you to a page where you can submit a book spine poem that you make at home. And there's also some examples here. So this is kind of a fun activity to do by yourself or with kids, and email them to us, and we'll put them up on the website, and we'll also put them up on our Facebook page. Another interesting program that we just started, and we're going to be promoting it this week, so be on the lookout for it, is Dear Miss Stephanie and Mr. Mike, which and I'm sure everyone knows Miss Stephanie is our head of youth services at the library. So if the kids want to keep in touch with me or her, they can write us a letter. And if they look on our website, right on the front page here, there's a link, and they can click on the link, and it will take them to a form where they can ask us a question, or they can say hi, or if they're interested in one of us reading a story to them, that we can schedule a story time as well. Another really interesting program that we have up on the website here is this paperback book crafts. One of our library trustees, Debbie Grace, made a really interesting video on how you can use some of your old paperback books to make a birdhouse or to make a fairy house. So I would encourage people to check that out. That's also on the front page of the website. And also look on the Kingston Community Fun Facebook page, where they can find more videos with similar activities. And of course, we're also working on more things coming up in the future. So I would encourage everybody to keep checking back on our website, keep looking at our schedule, and we got some great stuff coming up.
Great. And just out of curiosity, I mean, we're again now just over a month in. I think the Kingston Public Library was one of the first municipal buildings in Kingston to close. When all this started in early to mid March. How have residents responded to the shift from, I guess, physical program and use of the library to online offerings?
The response so far has been great, and I think a big part of that is our staff is really working to expand our collections and making sure that everybody has access to our digital resources. We had almost 100 orders of seeds, which was great. We had great attendance at our first puppet show. Hopefully we'll have the same for the second one. It seems like people are really enjoying our services, both old services and new services that we've just recently obtained. I think another great thing that we've been able to do is work with the Plymouth Area Coalition Shelter in Kingston to support families there and help them with their educational needs.
That's great. And before we turn it over to Priscilla, I just had one more question for you. I think by now residents have probably all seen the new LED sign that's in front of the library, and that was purchased by the Kingston Public Library Foundation through a tremendous effort from them in the fundraising. But what residents probably don't know is you're one of the folks behind the computer that generates those messages and updates the sign. Can you just tell us a little bit about how that sign has impacted library programming and offerings, but also how the town's been able to use that in response to the COVID-19 crisis.
Sure. Well, the sign has really been a great asset to the library. Number one, it's had a big impact on our programming, on attendance on programming. It gets the word out there for some of these great programs that we're doing. It's also a really good reminder when people sign up for programs. And when you're driving by and you see, oh, I got a program that I signed up for this Friday. It's a great reminder that way. I hear all the time from people who are attending programs at the library that they heard about this program because they drove by the sign. So I think as far as for the library, it's been a really big help for us. But what's important to note too is that the sign isn't just a resource for the library; it's also a resource for the town. And I think this situation with COVID-19 is a perfect example of how that sign can be utilized for public messaging to get accurate, important, and timely information out to the residents of Kingston. We're also working with the Board of Health right now to post some messages up there that will help people keep safe in this difficult situation. And also, while I have everybody's attention, you may have noticed an ad up on the sign for the census, and that's a really important thing for Kingston. Filling out the census is going to impact the future of Kingston, not just next year, but for the next decade. So follow the advice of the sign, fill out your census form.
Thanks, Mike. And with that, Priscilla, I'm going to hop over to you. So for anybody watching at home who hasn't had the opportunity to meet you, can you just introduce yourself and tell us about your work in Kingston?
Sure. I'm Priscilla Brackett. I work with the Department of Veteran Services here in Town Hall. We're a local office. Every city and town in the state of Massachusetts has the Veteran Service Office. We're mandated for that by the state. Although we're a local office, we do state and federal work as well. One of our primary programs is a financial assistance program called Chapter 115 that provides financial assistance to veterans who are below the poverty level.
And how many Kingston residents are served out of your office, and who qualifies for veteran services?
Well, truthfully, any honorably discharged veteran qualifies for a wide range of programs that we administer. There's currently 750 veterans living in Kingston. Of course, we also service their widow or widowers, so that adds to the numbers as well. The Chapter 115, the low income, is an asset and income based program. We're certainly seeing an uptick in applications for that program during this challenging time of COVID-19. I would encourage anyone who is struggling, any veteran who is struggling to put food on their table or pay for medications, to please reach out to our office. We will do everything we can to make sure that your needs are taken care of.
Thank you. And for anybody who's been to town meeting and heard from you or from Bill Martin, it's clear that you guys put a tremendous amount of time and effort and energy into supporting our veterans. So thank you for that. And can you just speak a little bit more, in addition to Chapter 115, what sorts of services are offered by Kingston's Department of Veteran Services?
Well, the Chapter 115 and the federal programs that are run out of the VA are our main components of business that we do with veterans. And the VA benefits are extensive. It's anywhere from medical care, getting a veteran signed up for the VA medical care program, home loans, education, annuity programs. But a vast majority of our federal work, of course, is assisting veterans applying for VA disability payments. We do hundreds of those a year. We currently have 248 veterans in the town receiving VA disability comp. And that brings in $4.5 million into the hands of veterans every year in Kingston.
That's great. That's great. So I heard this past week from Town Administrator Coulter that he arrived at the townhouse and found you unloading dozens of bags of groceries that you were going to sort and deliver to Kingston veterans. Um, is that really how your office is responding right now? I mean, is it requests for food? What's going? I guess what's changed during the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of the needs of Kingston's veterans?
Absolutely. We are seeing a need for the basics. So last Tuesday, I made 2 trips out to Gillette Stadium. There's an organization called Mass Military Support Foundation. They're an amazing group. They have several tractor trailers worth of food over at Gillette Stadium. Cisco Foods is providing a lot of that food. Veterans are free to go there with their discharge paper, prove that they're a veteran, and pick up both shelf stable and fresh food that can last them 2 weeks. So I went over and did a bulk pickup, knowing that a lot of our veterans can't get out, can't drive to Gillette. So I did a bulk pickup and was able then to redistribute that out to about 16 families last week here in Kingston. Um, they're a great organization. If people want to look them up, their link is food for the number 4 vets. Um, in conjunction with that, we're teaming up with Plymouth Veteran Services next Monday, April 27th at 10 a.m. And that same organization, Mass Military Support Foundation, will be delivering 100 boxes of food for veterans to the American Legion Post number 40 at 199 Federal Furnace Road. And we would encourage any veteran to come and pick up food.
So it sounds like your office has seen, an increase in requests. Certainly since this has picked up.
We have. We're very fortunate in this area. We also have the Nathan Hale Foundation in Plymouth, which has a very well-stocked food pantry. So additionally, I've gone and gotten several dozen bags of food from them. And I am more than happy, if anyone is in need, just call the office. I am more than happy to drop food on your doorstep. Fresh eggs, milk, it's all there. And I'm happy to get it out to people. So I would like to thank the Nathan Hale Foundation for that. In addition, the Kingston Florist here in town, a small business, has taken up a necessities drive. So they have a great stock of toilet paper and hand sanitizer, paper towels. So again, if any veteran I have a lot of elderly veterans who don't drive any longer. And so I am constantly calling them and checking in, making sure that they have the support they need. And I've dropped off many of those care packages from Kingston Florist. And additionally, we are very, very fortunate here in the town to have a wonderful veterans donation fund. And that's been contributed to by many residents and many local groups here in town. So we have a pretty hefty donation fund. We use that to assist veterans who may not qualify for other programs, to put food on their table, to pay for heating fuel, to pay for medications. I have grocery gift cards in my office for emergency fund, emergency need. So again, we are willing and able to do anything that is needed by our veterans in the community, and we just want them to reach out if they need us.
And Priscilla, for anybody who's watching at home that may qualify for services or may want to support the work that you're doing, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Either email or phone. Phone number is 781-585-0515, or find me on the webpage, pbrackett@kingstonmass.org. I have put many links of different resources for veterans during this time on the veterans page on the town website.
Thank you. And just one last question before we hop over to Amy. With Memorial Day coming up, I know there's been a few emails going back and forth between the Board of Health and the Memorial Day Parade Committee. Do you know where things currently stand for the parade?
I do know that the Memorial Day Parade Committee is waiting for guidance from the Board of Health, who I think in turn is waiting for guidance from the state. Um, we all want nothing more than to hold a full-fledged Memorial Day parade, but we understand that might not happen. So the committee is preparing for other alternatives in terms of perhaps a smaller scale, socially distanced ceremony. Um, the wreaths will be laid at all the war memorials in town. The veterans' graves will be decorated by Boy Scout troops. We've already worked out those logistics. And the sea of flags will be placed on the town hall front lawn. But whatever we are able to do, if it's a smaller scale, we will attempt to make it available virtually so that people can still participate.
Well, Priscilla, thank you again for all the great work that you're doing. I know that it's not just the veterans in Kingston who appreciate your efforts. So
Thanks, Jeff.
I hope to have you back.
Thanks.
And Amy, with that, you've now been on twice, and I know the last time you joined us, you spoke to how children experience crisis situations like this very differently. The way that my 5-year-old may, experience COVID-19 is very different than the way a 15-year-old may experience this. Um, Today, I'm hoping we can really focus on how best to support teens given what's going on in the world. But what can you say, or what would you say is the biggest difference between how teens are impacted by something like this versus younger children?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. Um, so younger children, they're very concrete, and they also really rely on us to help their emotional regulation. They can be distracted a lot easier. Teens, they're their own people. They have their own beliefs, they have their own desires, their own goals, and they're social beings. So it's really, really hard for teens, especially in the social way, because younger kids can play with siblings, or they can kind of play on their own and interact with mom and dad, and they feel confident with that. But again, teens are really missing their peers, and they're awesome. Teens are awesome. So we can learn a lot from them too. We can have really awesome conversations with them, because they have their own beliefs and their own thoughts and their own ideas about this all, so we can really converse with them.
And I just want to point something out too briefly. I think Julie may have said that you were with the Kingston public school system.
Yeah.
You're a Kingston resident, but an employee of the Duxbury public school system.
Correct, yes.
I just wanted to clear that up. So I've heard from countless parents who it's a daily struggle with their teenagers to try to get them to maintain social distancing. And, I think we all understand that they are very social, so that is a struggle. But do you have any suggestions for parents as to how they can encourage their teens to skip social gatherings, and support them to adapt to digital or distance relationships with peers?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one, right? Because teens don't want to be told what to do naturally, right? Um, but I think the thing with them is that this is a great opportunity to have conversations and to have them really understand what's happening in the world. And so having conversations like, what do you think would happen to your grandparents if you saw them? Or what do you think is happening on the farmland lands across the United States? Or what's happening in the city right now with people living in apartments? Like really stretching their brain to have them understand the global view of this situation. Really helping them to be creative. So if you can't see your friends in person, what can you do? Can we drive by with balloons, or can you blast your best friend's favorite song and drive by and wave and honk? We can't do certain things, but having them kind of come up with creative ideas on what they actually can do to connect with peers, whether from a very, from a distance, or through um, technology and FaceTime and talking on the phone.
So I think it's safe to say that the way that a teenager experiences something is very different than the way an adult does. So something that may seem like the end of the world to a 15, 16, 17-year old, doesn't hit you or I the same way. So if a dance was canceled, or if a planned trip to New Hampshire to go skiing, things like that. Do you have any tips for parents on how to validate their teens' feelings and emotions at a time like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think with teens, they really do need to be validated. I love that word. Um, and they don't really want to hear, like, we get it too, because they are experiencing it so differently than we are. So saying things like, yeah, that really stinks. I can't even imagine being you. You've missed out on some really significant things in your life. So really pointing out that you get it. What can we do? Do you have a plan? Like, helping them also kind of be creative again about what they can do. So if they've missed something, well, let's plan something for the future. Get together online with your friends and let's make a plan, and kind of turn their energy into something really positive that they can do. I also think it's, younger kids can benefit from this too. You just word it differently with teens, but I feel like it's really important to kind of have a family corona dump, maybe we call it, but just at one point during the day, everybody say what you're frustrated about, and verbalize it and put it out there together. Because that way we as adults are modeling, like, yeah, this really stinks. We're missing out on things too. And, I miss my mom and I can't even go see her and I can't even hug her. So just allowing kids to like kind of dump that out. And then after you do that for, 10 minutes or so, then just finish by saying one thing you're thankful for, but we get to hang out as a family. We've just played Pictionary for 3 hours or whatever it is. You kind of focus on the things that you can do and that have been beneficial during this.
So you said you said that you can encourage teens to meet with their friends virtually. One of the questions that I've had with schools happening largely on computer screens right now, is it important to limit a teen's screen time elsewhere in the day? So, for example, watching Netflix or playing video games or meeting with their friends on screen. Are there concerns about school sort of adding to what may already be hours of screen time?
Yeah, this is a tough one too, because right now kids need the technology because they need to connect with their friends. But I really think that people have to understand, and kids have to understand too, that we have to stay healthy during this time too. So sleep is really important, eating healthy is really important, getting outside is really important, and using your body. There's so many studies about your body and how you need to have like, they talk about proprioceptive movement, which is like, throwing a football or doing a cartwheel, like larger body movements. You need that to stay healthy. So I think you need to kind of have a schedule and pockets of time where you get away from all technology and go outside, whether it's raining or if it's sunny. In order to stay healthy all around, we need to move. We need to be engaging with our family face to face and away from the technology. And again, it's tricky, easier said than done, because teenagers just, want to be with their friends online.
So all across Kingston right now, there's parents who are struggling with being both parents and sort of filling in the role of teachers or administrators as schools really switching to this remote, programming. Do you have any tips for parents who are trying to support teens as students?
It's hard, right? I have teenagers at my house right now too, and it's really difficult. And I think the big thing is just trying to keep perspective, because, you know, kind of getting in a spat with your child about like a math assignment. They should do their schoolwork. They're expected to. They're getting graded on it. They have to take responsibility for it. But at the end of the day, we're all stressed out. I think things are getting harder as time goes on. Um, as I said before, I really think this is grieving. We're grieving. So just having perspective, and you can only do what you can do. I think I said that last time too, but I really think that is something parents have to remember. If they don't do it in this moment, or they maybe put it off till tomorrow, that's okay. um, because 10 years down the road, we are not going to remember the grade they got in math class, but we are going to remember the times that we had together, and how we got through this, and you know the things that they were doing with the family, and those types of things.
Now, I've got one more question for you, and then I think we've had one or two questions come in from viewers for you as well, Amy. But my last question, so, prior to COVID happening, I'm sure we all had our daily routines. Some of us went to the gym, some of us, like to go out for walks. We were going to work. Nowadays, with folks working remotely and, not necessarily having all of those other outlets, um, we've I think by and large become more relaxed in our daily schedules and routines. How important is it for us as parents to encourage and model healthy habits during the pandemic?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to model healthy habits. I think it's also important for us to model to our teens that it's okay to feel like you don't have any energy one day. It's okay to not have a super clean house and you've gone through all of the closets and you know because we are lacking energy and we are this is really stressful. I sit down at night and my Apple Watch in the evening when I finally sit down for the day, it always tells me to breathe. And it's just so interesting because even though I think I'm relaxed, my internal system is not relaxed, right? So we are kind of in a emotionally dysregulated time right now. But I encourage adults and teens think about your three favorite things. So when I was a kid, my three favorite things were going outside, being with kids, and doing crafts. And so if those are your three favorite things, try to interject those into your day, um, at least once, or at least one of those during the day. Things that you love to do those things. And
That's
also,
just
I think, oh, sorry.
no, go for it.
um, teens can help us. That's the thing. We certainly can help our teens, but teens can help us because they can have conversations, and they are, they have their own beliefs. So if we're having a hard time and we ask them, like, what do you think we should do right now? Or what do you think I should do? I'm really stressed out. Having those conversations with them is modeling, but it's also allowing them to help us.
Thank you. Julie, I'm going to turn it over to you because I think there may be a question or two for Amy that's come in.
Yeah, and it's a question and it's a commentary, and we got it from another one of our forums too. Children clearly can feel what's going on in their parents' lives. Children are so adept at understanding that something's not right here. Now, parents that are suddenly home, some of them have to visit food pantries for the first time. Some of them are going on unemployment for the first time. How do parents navigate that? Granted, it's for a short period of time. This isn't forever. But how do they navigate their change of circumstances age appropriately with their children?
So, are you meaning like younger children
It really
or
any
just any
age.
children?
When you
Yeah.
think about it,
Yeah, I
it's
think that this is where we have to just kind of be open and communicative because kids will often surmise things that may not be the truth. So just being really clear and being really honest, like things are just like you said, for right now, this is how things are going to be, but this isn't how they're always going to be. And encouraging, communication back and forth. I also use the suggestion often, even before Corona, if you have a journal, like a family journal in the house where kids can write down things and ask questions, because it's hard for them to verbalize things sometimes. In this journal, they could draw a picture, and then you can then communicate back and forth because, again, sometimes when we're ready to talk, they're not ready to talk. Or when they are, we aren't, because it is very stressful. So that would be a tip, to kind of have a journal where you can write back and forth. And then again, you can ask questions too. What are you sensing that's different in the house right now? Because they may see things that we aren't seeing because we're stressed out and things have changed.
right.
But yeah.
That's good. That's good advice. That's good advice. And like you said, breathe. That's a lot of people keep saying that. Just take a breath before you react to something, or before you. Sometimes taking a breath just resets you, resets your mind, resets your ability to communicate a little bit better. All great information that you've given today. And Josh, we did have a comment from Mike, from a person who said, a thank you to the library that they received their seeds as part of the seed program in the mail last week, and the seed companies that they usually buy from are either sold out or are limiting their sales to farms. So thank you so much, because people's gardens are so important. So thank you, Mike.
Yes, I agree with that. And I would encourage people too, that if they do get some seeds from us and they plant them, to take some pictures when they grow and when they start growing, and send them over to us so we can show everybody what people are doing.
Excellent. I didn't have any other questions today, Josh.
So I'll just turn it back over to Priscilla, to Mike, and to Amy, if any of them have any parting words for Kingston residents. Okay. And I'd just like to thank you all again for joining us. I know these are crazy times for many of us professionally and personally. So to carve out the time to really sit down and share your work and your knowledge with Kingston residents is much appreciated. But with that, if any of you would like to say some parting words, I'd love to hear.
Well, I would just say, Josh, that if people go and look through, like we've discussed here, if they go on our website and look through our services, and they don't see something that they want, to email us, get in touch with us, let us know how we can best serve you from home. So check on our website, stay in touch, and let us know what you want.
Evan, I would just add that if anybody has questions or thoughts or concerns, or if they want links to websites or YouTube channels for mental health things, that I'm happy to help in that way too.
Great.
I would like to add as well, Josh, any veteran that has been laid off or finding themselves without employment now, we're a resource. And on our website, at the bottom of the page, you're going to see something called Mass Vet Ben. And that's a calculator that will do a preliminary determination whether you might qualify for our financial assistance program. Feel free to do that preliminary determination. But if you don't even want to take that step, just give me a call. I will do whatever I can to get you qualified for benefits. And lastly, I would just like to say to the community, if you have an elderly veteran, or if you know of a veteran here in Kingston that's isolated, and you feel that they're in need, please give me a call. I will reach out.
Thank you, Priscilla. And Julie, if it's okay with you, if anybody does have a question for Amy, can they send that to kingstoninfo@pac-tv.org?
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure that it finds its way to Amy's inbox.
For any time, for any of your guests, for any day, any subject, absolutely. This is open 24/7. Yeah.
Great. So if you have
appreciate
questions
that.
for Amy Burns, please email kingstoninfo@pac-tv.org, and we'll make sure that those make their way over to her. Priscilla, Mike, and Amy, thank you all again for joining us. I just want to end with a reminder to residents. Every single day, every single evening, we're updating www.kingstonmass.org with information regarding Kingston's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. There's a whole host of links to resources that are available to anybody, individuals, veterans, small businesses who are adversely impacted during the COVID-19 pandemic. There's links to the Center for Infectious Disease Control, Massachusetts Department of Public Health. There's information about program and building closures all across town. There's contact numbers for a lot of the departments that you may be looking to contact right now for supports and services. So again, it's www.kingstonmass.org. And we'll be back on Friday for another COVID-19 update. And I certainly hope that you'll join us then.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. As always, a great show. Really great guests, great information. And as you notice, we date stamp this every single day because information changes daily. Every day we'll have a forum for one town or another. We have them every day for Plymouth because it's our largest town at noon. We get information all the time that changes, so make sure you check the date. If you want to watch this again, go to pac-tv.org/Kingston. Keep positive, wash your hands, social distance. We only have a few more weeks of this. We're at our peak, so let's not undo all the good that we've done. Thank you, Josh Warren, so much for putting this together on Tuesdays and Fridays at 10:30, and we'll see you again on Friday.